You're watching Alaska's news source.
Today on the Morning Edition, the future of public broadcasting is uncertain after a massive bill to reel in federal funding clears a hurdle in the U.S. Senate. Alaska's senators' votes and opinions are split as much of our state, which relies heavily on public radio, watches closely.
Plus, school staffing positions in jeopardy amid a multi-million-dollar funding gap. The Anchorage School District superintendent sends a fiery message citing state leadership failures as the governor points to falling oil prices.
And later, a half dozen orphan bear cubs all rescued in just 1 week in California, stealing the hearts of thousands online following their rehab journey as the Morning Edition starts now. Good morning, everyone, on this Wednesday. What a cute way to wake up.
They're so little.
They're so tiny, little, and orphan. Oh.
It's my favorite saying, if not friend, why friend shapes?
I know.
Makes you want to pet them and you can't.
Yeah, it's a lot of them. Half a dozen, too.
Oh, we are waking up this morning. We did see some nice weather yesterday once that sunshine came out. And of course, we're waking up this morning to some peaks of sunshine, but those clouds, they're already streaming back in across South Central. We'll see the potential that we could hold on to some showers later this afternoon into the evening for inland areas of South Central as we're watching our next storm system, which is already building into parts of the Alaska Peninsula and Southwest Alaska. 51 degrees is where we're currently sitting at this morning, so a fairly pleasant start to the day. You can see some sunshine from Anchorage into the valley out towards Valdez, so those temperatures 40s and 50s. We are quiet in terms of that rain showers this morning, but we will see that steadily building in throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours. Not widespread rain by any means. We're just going to keep that chance for at least some isolated to scattered showers with us. So dry to start off your Wednesday morning, but notice this is a system we're watching out towards the Alaska Peninsula. Rain already spreading into Bristol Bay out towards Kodiak, where we're also seeing some of those gusty winds. We've got that flow coming in around that area of low pressure pulling in out of the southeast. So that's pumping in that moisture from the Pacific Ocean as well as the Gulf of Alaska. So we do have plenty of moisture to work with, but with that low out towards the Alaska Peninsula, we're going to see the bulk of the activity today from Kodiak out towards the Alaska Peninsula as well as through Bristol Bay. Now, coastal showers for South Central with inland areas seeing a chance for some showers. Not promising for everyone for inland locations, but we will see that chance that we could see some isolated to scattered activity. Notice coastal regions. This is where we'll see that better chance for rainfall, while inland locations likely amounting to less than 1/10 of an inch, maybe just a few hundredths of an inch of rainfall. And you notice parts of the Copper River Basin largely on the dry side. So coming up in my full forecast, we'll talk about more about that, the wildfires across the state. Temperatures today warming nicely, though, into the 60s.
Neither the administration nor others have been able to provide that very clear, very transparent explanation about the programs and the priorities that are going to be cut as a result of the measure.
In today's top story, Alaska's public media hangs in the balance as the Senate narrowly advanced President Trump's $9 billion spending cuts package Tuesday as a Friday deadline looms.
The rescissions package, which effectively gives back $9 billion in previously approved funding for foreign aid and public broadcasting, passed by a procedural vote of 51 to 50, with Vice President J.D. Vance breaking the tie. Senator Sullivan's office telling Alaska's news source he was directly part of the negotiation that will restore some Alaska public radio station funding. It adds important context after Senator Sullivan voted to move forward with this debate, while Senator Murkowski voted against that. It comes as Alaska Public Media has been saying their more than 25 statewide stations will have to make major cuts if the administration's rescission bill passes. They worry that would be especially detrimental to rural communities.
What this could mean for the rural public media stations, where this funding would come from, and who would receive it is still unclear. Alaska Public Media President and CEO Ed Ullman says he was blindsided.
The position of Senator Sullivan's office, I can tell you for a fact that multiple folks in the state of Alaska and have explained to the senator and his office how this works. So, and how CPB is essential to ensuring that the 27 public media outlets in Alaska can remain in operation. So this isn't even a compromise. This is just, it's not going to work.
Ullman said Alaska stands to lose more than $30 million in federal funding over the next 2 years if this bill is passed. Speaking on public broadcasting as a whole, just last week on Truth Social, President Trump stated any Republican that votes to allow this monstrosity to continue broadcasting will not have my support or endorsement. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Alaska's Senator Lisa Murkowski, along with 2 other Republicans, joined Democrats in voting against the package.
Murkowski argued public broadcasting is vital in alerting people to things like natural disasters, power outages, boil water notices, and wildfires, many of which Alaskans are dealing with right now.
It's not just your news. It's your tsunami alerts. It is your landslide alert. It is your volcano alert. It is the weather to let you know it's safe to go out and get on the fishing grounds. It's your educational programming. I am going to continue to be an advocate for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Murkowski, Maine Senator Susan Collins, and Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell were the 3 Republicans who joined Democrats in voting no, leading to the vice president's tie breaking the vote.
To break it down, many of public media's 27 Alaska stations are located in small rural communities like the Aleutians, where 70% of local station funding comes from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. In Galena, public radio powers the only broadcast signal for 10 surrounding communities. And in Juneau, that federal funding accounts for over a third of KTOO's annual budget. PBS and NPR stations in Alaska are among the most remote in the country. Stay with Alaska's News Source on our website and mobile app as we continue our complete coverage of this debate.
This morning, staff and teacher positions within the Anchorage School District are at risk. The superintendent for Alaska's largest school district announced layoff and staff reassignment notices will go out just weeks before students return to school. Superintendent Jarrett Bryant made the announcement citing both state cuts and federal education funding being frozen before July 4th. In a message to families Monday, Bryant issued a warning and call to action, saying public education is being undermined by, quote, unstable decision-making, delayed funding, and systemic negligence. Alaska's News Source is working to clarify what the letter's message means, since it does not specifically mention who was or will be laid off. Bryant says the Federal Department of Education froze nearly $46 million in federal education grants statewide on July 3rd. Those were budgeted to support things like special education, after-school programs, and English learner services.
Anchorage schools aren't the only ones facing difficulties. Alaska school state budgets were turned in by yesterday's deadline, many of them facing deficits. This as we are now less than 3 weeks away from the special session. Superintendents across the state are facing veto cuts and several other types of cuts. The governor's partial education veto meant taking back about $51 million. We'll now see if enough Republican lawmakers stay home to try and kill a potential veto override in the first 5 days of the special session. A potential limit on how much cities and boroughs can contribute to local schools will also have plenty of attention. A new ordinance approved by the Anchorage Assembly criminalizes camping in public places.
As Joe Allgood reports, the controversial ordinance is another way the city says it's trying to curb large homeless camps and the crimes that come with it.
Camping in certain parts of the municipality of Anchorage is now a criminal act after a lengthy discussion and a narrow vote by the Anchorage Assembly. Assembly Ordinance 2025-74 officially makes it a criminal misdemeanor to camp in certain areas of the municipality. That includes within 200 feet of roads, trails, railroads, and runways, as well as waterways and 500 feet from schools and playgrounds. Construction or possession of construction materials with an intent to build a structure on these lands is also a misdemeanor. Throughout the discussions of the ordinance, both the LaFrance administration and APD have repeatedly said their hope is self-compliance rather than arrests. At Tuesday's meeting, Police Chief Sean Case answered questions about how this changes police response.
As I understood the question correctly, how would this ordinance impact? And that would kind of put patrol in, kind of incorporate them in responding to camping that's in these areas that are illegal, because now they're responding to a crime.
Still, criminalizing camping has been unpopular with the public that spoke on the ordinance, as well as a few members of the Assembly, evidenced by the fact that it passed with the narrowest possible margin of votes.
On a vote of 7 to 5, AO 2025-74 S2 as amended has passed the body. We're going to take a 10-minute break.
Now that the camping ban is passed, it will go into effect 7 days from Tuesday night. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
This is all developing after fires believed to have been sparked by the unattended campfires at a homeless camp in Russian Jack Park caused firefighters to jump into action. It's the kind of activity some people are worried about when it comes to camping. Police say several people from the abated Davis Park moved to this area, but some seem to have been there even longer. Many of them beyond the softball fields off Pine Street. Besides the fire, people living in the area say there are several other things they're concerned about.
All hours of the night, people are coming in and out of the woods, gunshots. It's just not a safe situation for anybody.
The north end of Russian Jack Park from DeVar Road to 6th Avenue and from Pine Street to Boniface Parkway will be closed to the public until the abatement is complete.
Coming up, they might be creepy and crawly, but not all bugs are bad for your garden.
We'll show you which ones to watch out for and which ones are more annoying than damaging in this week's Arctic Gardens next.
Well, rain is with us today across South Central. Not everyone will see it. I'll have more on that as well as the latest on the fire outlook across the state. But first at sunrise, 4:54 in Anchorage, 4:18 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Good morning, everyone. We're back here on your Wednesday. A little rain out there, still not stopping a bear from getting up early and looking for some breakfast.
Yeah, at least the one out there. At least we have some company this morning, Aaron. Yesterday, they were just nowhere to be found.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll catch some fish here in the next couple of minutes or maybe sometime this morning. But you can see that rain continuing to grip a good portion of the Katmai National Park, really out towards Bristol Bay, the Alaska Peninsula. Taking a look at those wildfires across the state, we have seen somewhat in the way of some slower growth this week. One thing we are watching is out towards the 7 Mile Lookout fire. This is where we continue to see evacuations ready and set, depending on where you live. The acreage burning approaching 4,000 acres. We've got 131 personnel on scene with that wildfire, with 300 plus structures that are certainly being impacted by that wildfire. Across the state, though, we're approaching 900,000 acres that have burned so far this season. 247 current active fires, of which 18 of them remain staffed. And there is some good news this morning when it comes to those wetting rains we have been seeing across the state. A lot of improvement when it comes to those air quality across the state. From South Central into the interior, you're breathing easier, particularly into the interior where we have seen the air quality fluctuate at times for the last 2 to 3 weeks. We're still seeing locations northwest of Fairbanks that will likely see the potential for some moderate air quality concerns. But as far as Fairbanks, you are going to breathe easier the next couple of days. There's our low approaching the Alaska Peninsula. We've got that widespread rain that's spreading across Bristol Bay, the Alaska Peninsula, as well as Kodiak, and eventually it's going to build here in South Central. But you can see just to the southeast of Bethel, we've got that persistent ongoing rain. And then as you head out towards areas from King Salmon, we're also going to begin to tap into some of that heavier activity throughout the remainder of today. So be prepared for several hours of seeing that rainfall for parts of southwest Alaska. This is also where we could see the potential for up to a half an inch, if not 3/4 of an inch of rainfall. And we'll also see areas of South Central tapping into that potential for some rain. Not widespread by any means, but we'll hold on to isolated to scattered showers into the afternoon and evening hours. So limited sunshine once those clouds do build back in across South Central. However, later this evening, we may see that sunshine peeking back through across the region. So active weather stays with us across western, southwest Alaska, as well as through the Aleutians. Meanwhile, the rest of the state largely going to see just a passing shower or two the next couple of days. We are going to warm into the 60s later today. You can see those clouds thickening up. But late this afternoon, again, we could see some peaks of sunshine returning as those showers begin to taper off across South Central. 72 in Fairbanks today along the slope, warming into the 50s and the 60s. You can see rain out towards southwest Alaska. That will keep temperatures on the cooler side in the upper 50s and the lower 60s. And we're also watching that warm weather continuing for southeast. Upper 50s, lower 60s across the Kenai. We could see some breezy conditions developing later today. Max winds of about 20 to 30 miles per hour in locations that do see it. 55 in Whittier, 74 degrees in Golconda. And we have a decent shot through the rest of this week and into next week that we could see some 70s popping up across South Central. There is that chance today into the valley. Here in Anchorage, we'll see a high of 66 degrees, 59 in Girdwood. And then that 7-day forecast, we're going to see those temperatures slightly cooler to close out the week. Friday, overcast skies. But check out that warming trend into next week where we have a decent shot. We could see daily highs warming near 70.
Our gardens up north, they have similarities to those of our friends in the lower 48 and even the tropics.
One of them is garden pests. Tracy Sinclair shares an entomologist's expert advice in this week's Arctic Gardens.
From the annoying to the destructive, most gardeners deal with some kind of pest, starting with the one we're very familiar with.
So each plant that you grow kind of have its own pests, but aphids are one that's kind of ubiquitous across all of them.
Alex Wenninger, an entomologist with the UAF Cooperative Extension Service, says monitoring is the key. Start it early, do it often. She says a couple of times a week, check your plants. If the problem is small, you can just wipe them off with a damp cloth.
Once those aphids start to get, a little bit more populous, you might want to start removing leaves that those aphids have started to really colonize heavily. And especially if you have any leaves on the plant that are already starting to droop, they've been fed on quite a bit, definitely remove those.
And if you've had aphids on your plants, dispose of the material at the end of the season instead of leaving it to decompose, because they're leaving their eggs behind. And while ladybugs seem like an environmentally friendly option, Alex says they aren't safe and not that effective.
They're wild collected up from the mountains in California. They don't go through any kind of testing. They carry and transmit diseases to native lady beetles, unfortunately.
Another common pest, sawflies, or really the larvae of sawflies.
A lot of people mistake them for caterpillars because they do look kind of caterpillar-like, but technically, so caterpillars would be larvae of moths and butterflies, and these guys technically are larvae of wasps. They are really voracious eaters.
They especially like currants and gooseberries.
We have a species that's not native to Alaska. It was accidentally brought in with those ornamental plants. And so because of that, it doesn't have natural predators here. And so they have a tendency to kind of get a little bit out of hand.
Again, check your plants. If you already have the larvae, take off the leaf and toss it into the yard.
They have a hard time making it back to the plant.
And one bug that's annoying but isn't that damaging, the spittlebug.
They're an itty-bitty little sap-sucking insect, and it's the nymphs that live inside of that. That foam is sort of like protection from predators for them. They don't cause that much damage.
Alex says you can wash them away, but be aware the little bug inside might still be on your plant. So the best advice is to check your plants often and catch the problem early. Tracy Sinclair, Alaska's News Source.
Head to our website to find information on how to contact the UAF Cooperative Extension with any questions you might have about pests and pesticides.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's News Source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.